Ever since they kapowed, kasplattered and spadooshed their way onto the pages of The Brave and the Bold number 28 back in 1960, the Justice League has been DC Comics' own personal supergroup. And just like those bands that haunted the plains of music in the late 1970s, they've had more than their fair share of members. From Men Who Talk to Fish to Amazonian princesses, the Justice League of America has never been short of a character or two that fans would either defend to the hilt or slander across the interweb at the first opportunity. And this leads to the eternal question, just where do they rank against each other? Well, aren't you lucky to have us around to solve that problem once and for all? Or at least light up the comments section when the vast majority of you feel the need to violently disagree with us. Not only is Aquaman our least favourite member of the Justice League, but he's also our least favourite character in comics full stop. He might be able to talk to fish and summon the creatures of the sea whenever there is trouble afoot, but when you're stuck fighting off Darkseid's hordes, or anywhere there isn't, oh we don't know, a huge amount of water, then he's about as much use as a chocolate teapot. If the JLA had formed today instead of 1960, when there was a real shortage of decent heroes outside of the obvious ones, then Arthur wouldn't have had a sniff of membership. And considering that he must think of fish all the time, then that wouldn't have been such a bad thing. Considering that he gets by on his skill set and wit alone, it's a surprise that Oliver Queen hasn't found himself squished flat every time that he's ventured forth with the JLA. Let's be honest here. The Green Arrow doesn't have what you call the deadliest of rogues galleries, with the likes of the Clock King, ooh shudder, and a bloke whose main trick is to make you feel dizzy, being the best of a bad bunch. But the fact he has zero powers, outside of being a multi-millionaire with a hell of a training regime, well, that just about keeps him from being the worst member of the team. That, and we really, really hate Aquaman. The story of the Martian Manhunter is the definition of tragedy. The sole survivor of the Martian race, stranded on Earth after being transported to the planet without his consent. No means no, stupid scientist people. John could have gone the way of the villain and no one would have held it against him. Instead, he decided to use his multitude of powers for good, and in doing so found himself a founding member of the Justice League. That's right folks, another example of these alien devils coming to our planet and taking our superheroes' jobs. We have no doubt that having Barry Allen this far down the list is going to annoy quite a few people, but let's be honest here, upsetting comic book fans is as easy as shooting Barbara Gordon through the spine. Believe it or not though, we have a soft spot for the Flash. He's always good for a few chuckles and you can't argue with someone who can outrun death. But outside of that, he falls into the Green Arrow category, and the fact he can occasionally beat up a very large monkey doesn't seem that much of an essential skill set when you're trying to save the world from total annihilation every month. Wait, you devilishly handsome fools, we hear you cry. How can you possibly have Shazam above the likes of Aquaman, Green Arrow and the Flash? Well, quite easily. 1. As we've already established, we hate Aquaman. 2. He's a 12-year-old boy who has zero fear when it comes to throwing himself headlong into battle against some of the worst villains that the universe has to offer. Billy Batson has more chutzpah in his little finger than the vast majority of us have in our entire bodies combined, and if that isn't the mark of a true hero, then we don't know what is. One of the best things about the Green Lantern is that there are so bloody many of them you can pick and choose the one that suits you best, but for the purposes of this video, it's Hal Jordan that takes the mantle, which is fine as far as we're concerned, as Hal is easily our favourite. With the power of his ring, snigger, constructs out the wazoo, and the responsibility to patrol an entire sector of space, Jordan is a valuable member of the team and one they'd be a lot weaker without. Unlike Aquaman, stupid fish bloke. Depending on what version of Vic Stone you happen to be reading/watching at the time, the accident that changes his life is either through an experiment gone awry or a car crash, but whatever happens to him, he gets squished pretty damn good and is saved by his father, who turns him into a living, breathing supercomputer with armor plating. And that really should be all you need to know about why Cyborg ranks so high here. He's a fricking supercomputer with armor plating. The only way he could be any cooler is if he had fricking laser beams strapped to his head. The Big Blue Boy Scout might not ever have been the hippest superhero, but goddamn you can't argue with results. Yes, his truth, justice and American way shtick might seem a tad outdated in this whatever generation, but is it truly such a bad thing? What's wrong with wanting to do things the right way and wanting to do them with honour? When did it become so frowned upon to be the good guy? Sure, we could quite happily live without Henry Cavill stinking up the screen with his awful animated lip, but in the comic book world, Clark Kent is still the definition of hero that the rest should be held accountable to. There is a very good possibility that Diana Prince could rip you in half if she chose to, but fortunately for the humans of planet Earth, this Amazonian warrior has chosen to fight on the side of right instead. In our opinion, she is the perfect role model for women and men alike and has the perfect balance of diplomacy and strength needed to survive in this world. She will try to negotiate before she has to resort to violence, but when she has to kick ass, there's not many better in the DC universe or any other you care to mention. Well, who the hell did you think was going to be the most important member of the Justice League? He's Batman, for Christ's sake. His billions fund everything. He's a master tactician as well as the world's greatest detective. He could kick your ass 7 ways from Sunday, and he has contingency plans in place if any of the JLA ever decide to go off the rails, and that includes for himself. Batman isn't just the greatest Justice League member, but he's the greatest superhero of all time, and if you don't agree with that, we've got 2 words for you. I'm Batman. So there you have it. That's our opinion, but what's yours? Are we right? Are we wrong? Let us know down in the comment section, and if we've entertained you, then don't forget to share, like and subscribe.